Somebody who is at the Combine ready to analyze what we just learned about Kyler Murray earlier this morning is our friend Dane Brugler, NFL draft analyst for The Athletic. Dane, good morning.
Good morning, Dia. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, buddy. Thanks so much for joining us. We get the measurables. Kyler Murray, 5'10 and an eighth. 5'10 and an eighth. With that measurement, how do you think that affects his draft stock?
Well, 5'10 looks a lot better on paper than 5'9. But it really, it comes down to how teams are going to feel, how they're going to feel about a shorter quarterback. I think more so than the height, it was the build. And 207, that's a number that really sticks out for me. Really, he was listed around 190 at Oklahoma, so he's up, theoretically 15 pounds. What's his playing weight? And we know he's 207, but he's not going to throw here. We'll see if he's going to run. I doubt he will. I think he focused on adding weight to his frame so he could get that 207 number. But what his playing weight is probably a little lower than that, around 200. But regardless, the weigh-ins was a win for him. And all the chatter about could Kyler Murray go number one to Arizona? I think I'm absolutely buying into that. I think that's definitely a possibility. I think it's realistic. And what the measurements this morning, while some might say it's arbitrary, it's something that does matter, and it was a win for him.
So isn't that kind of silly that if it was 5'9 and 7/8, that somehow that's different from 5'10 and an eighth?
100%. It definitely. It is silly. But, that's the Combine, every little bit matters in terms of, 4.39 is a lot better than 4.42. And, depending on the position and different metrics, and at quarterback, we just haven't seen a guy like this before. And so for a team to buy in to investing in a high first-round pick into Kyler Murray, getting over 5'10 was a big win for him. You look at Russell Wilson, who was 5'10 and 5/8. So we're talking about half of an inch here between these two in terms of height. And so and Russell Wilson was only 204 pounds at the Combine. So a big win for Kyler just in terms of perception, and it looks better on paper than if he was 5'9", 190.
Dane Brugler joins NFL draft analyst for The Athletic from the Combine. So Russell Wilson's the obvious comp, as you mentioned, but Russell Wilson was a third-round draft pick. That's a lot different than investing in the top half of the first round in Kyler Murray, where we assume he might go. If this was a third-round draft pick, there'd be no doubt you would go after Kyler Murray. But can people really wrap their minds around maybe him going in the top 5 now?
I think all the stars are aligning for a pick like this to happen. In terms of the current state of the NFL being a little more open-minded to a talent like this. Last year we had a 6-foot quarterback go number 1 overall. Before last year, there was a lot of talk about would we see that in the modern era. And, I think with hiring Cliff Kingsbury in Arizona, just another move that shows that, teams are embracing this pass-heavy offense and, getting exciting skill players and just really adapting their offense around what the quarterback does best. We saw it last year with Freddie Kitchens in Cleveland, and now he's the head coach because of what he did with Baker Mayfield and adapted the play calling to what Baker could do. And so with Kyler Murray, there's no doubt that, there's probably only going to be 5-6 teams that are really in on him in the first round in terms of really going to buy in. But all it takes is one team, and if you want him, you probably have to trade in the top 5 to get him. And he might not even be available there because that number 1, Arizona, definitely a possibility.
Would you say that more NFL general managers they're intrigued more by Kyler Murray or Josh Rosen?
Oh, definitely Kyler Murray. With Josh Rosen, we have to remember he was a 4th quarterback drafted last year, and there were realistically only 2 or 3 teams that were in on him. At this time last year, the discussion with Josh Rosen was about his personality, his demeanor, the way he handled himself. And, it's the Arizona Cardinals are going to be more focused on winning instead of trying to justify why they traded up for Josh Rosen last year. And so with a chance to possibly get better at quarterback, I think that that's how they might see it. And so with Rosen, the tape, you see a lot of clean things that he can do, and he projects as an NFL starter, but you have to deal with everything else. And for some teams, that's just not going to be for them.
Dane Brugler joins us from The Athletic. So you say they've got to deal with those other things. That certainly was a question mark coming out of college. I didn't hear or read a lot about him being difficult from a coaching standpoint last year. So are the concerns about Rosen from his college days, or did we hear more of that stuff last season in the NFL?
You still heard it because it was just the way he handled himself. He's not for everybody. And, it's not too dissimilar from Trevor Bauer in baseball, or every sport has these guys where they're very bright, they're very smart. The way they handle themselves is just different than everybody else, and that's okay when you're in certain situations in certain sports. But when you're the CEO of a franchise, aka the quarterback of an NFL team, that just doesn't always mesh. And you know what? There might be a team. I could see the Patriots swooping in and maybe trading for Josh Rosen, and it might work out okay because the Patriots seem to be able to check egos at the door and make things like that work. But for every franchise, it's not going to work. And with the Cardinals, again, no decisions have been made. Josh Rosen, for all we know, he could be the opening day starter for the Cardinals in September. But I think the fact that we're just at least having these conversations says that there's there's a possibility at least that Josh Rosen could be playing elsewhere, and the market for him will be fascinating. Do the Cardinals get a first-round pick? Is there a team that would surrender a first-round pick for Josh Rosen, or do they have to take maybe a little bit of a discount only 1 year in? I couldn't tell you the last time we saw a team draft a quarterback in a top 10 back-to-back years. It's probably never happened, but it could possibly happen this year.
Who is the number one quarterback on your draft board?
I'm a Haskins guy. I believe in his arm. I think it's special in terms of velocity, in terms of accuracy. I do worry about the lower body. He's a very lean lower body. His ability to navigate the pocket and understand what to do under pressure. It just needs to develop in that area. And it's something that I think will come with time, with experience. This is a player who has 14 starts under his belt. Going back to 1973, there have been 100 quarterbacks drafted in the first round. Only 3 had 15 starts or fewer at the college level. So we don't see this often where a one-year starter goes in the first round, but we're going to see it this year with Haskins. I think there's a lot to like there. I think he's going to kill it during the interview process in terms of just what he understands from X's and O's standpoint. Going on the whiteboard with these teams from a mental capacity, breaking down coverages, understanding protections, going through the progressions and understanding, where the hot reads are. He's going to impress in that area. And so if you want Dwayne Haskins, I think you need to trade up in the top 5 to get him.
Nick Foles, they're not going to get anything back for him in a trade. They've decided, the Eagles, to let him go as a free agent. What was the strategy behind that decision by Howie Roseman?
It's interesting, and that's something that I'm not sure we expected because, he's a commodity. He's an asset. And to give up an asset for, I think they just kind of dangled it out there and they weren't liking the return on value that they were getting. So they decided not to tag him. And so it's definitely an interesting strategy. And now it's, Foles is going to have a lot more of a say of where he's going to end up. And so I thought Jacksonville was kind of the favorite to land Nick Foles. I think that the Jacksonville Jaguars see themselves as a win-now roster. And so they just need to plug in the right quarterback. And Nick Foles might be the best option this offseason in terms of the best ready quarterback right now that can lead them. And so I think the Jaguars are still the favorite, but now they're going to have to do a little bit of recruiting because Nick Foles is going to have the decision of where he wants to play, and it's not going to be a trade situation.
Who's the best player in the NFL draft?
Nick Bosa, and it'll come down to the medicals for him. It's going to be interesting. That's why the combine is a thing. It's why it was invented. I know the 40-yard dash and the measurements, they get a lot of the headlines, but the medicals, that's the most important part of the combine. And especially for a player like Nick Bosa, who had the abdominal groin injury in preseason, tried to play through it, then a third game in the year against TCU, went down, had surgery, missed the rest of the season. He's been healthy the last 7-8 weeks, and he's been working out. He's going to be a full participant here at the Combine. And so it'll be interesting to compare his numbers to his brother, Joey. I think they're basically carbon copies in terms of their pass rushing value. But what are the medicals going to say? Anything long-term you have to worry about? The family dynamic is interesting because Joey, when he's on the field for the Chargers, he's a Pro Bowler, but he's missed time because of injuries. Their father, John, was a first-round pick in 1987, only played 2 years because of injuries. So, the doctors, they're going to be very thorough with their evaluation. As long as I get 2 thumbs up from my training staff, I'm not going to hesitate. Nick Bosa is the best player in this draft.
Dane Brugler, NFL draft analyst for The Athletic, joins us this morning from the Combine. Final question. Spring football is here with the Alliance. Next year we'll have another league with the XFL. Thoughts on the XFL might be that they would allow players that did not play a full 3 years, separated from their high school graduation, to play in their league. Is there a sense that next year the Combine could be altered because of the spring football leagues and changing rules for them?
I don't think so. I mean, I think the NFL is not going to be reactive to what these spring leagues are going to do. I think the NFL is maybe too arrogant for that. They run the show. What they choose to do affects everybody else, not the opposite, not the other way around. And so I don't think we're going to see any snap decisions based on what these other leagues are doing. But I do think they'll be watching with a close eye to see how it works out. And I know, the entire league will be doing that just to see, it started already with, the replay options, what they're doing in the Alliance. And the XFL, I know they've got a few decisions to make here with how they're going to adjust, their product to how to differentiate themselves. So NFL's will be watching with a close eye. I don't think we're going to see any snap decisions, but maybe 3-4 years from now, we might be singing a different tune.
Dane Brugler covering the NFL draft at the Combine as we speak. Follow him on Twitter for the latest from Indianapolis. He writes for The Athletic and covered the NFL draft there. Dane, it's always good to catch up, buddy. Thanks for the good work today.